The moment I stepped out of the airport in Brisbane, the air felt different, warm, bright, almost humming with a kind of softness I wasn't prepared for. Back in the States, airports always felt like battle zones, rushing crowds, sharp voices, a constant undertone of hurry. Here, people strolled. A driver leaned against his car, waving someone across the road with a lazy flick of his hand. As if time itself had loosened its grip on the city, my rideshare pulled up with the windows down. The driver greeting me with a cheerful "Welcome, mate," as if we already knew each other. The sunlight poured through the car like something alive, washing over palm trees and low houses that looked both familiar and strangely unguarded. As we drove, he pointed out weekend markets, his favorite beach, a good fish and chips shop. Nothing rehearsed, just easy, human warmth. It disarmed me more than I expected, but the real jolt came when we turned into my temporary neighborhood. Kids ran barefoot on the pavement, dogs napped on porches without fences, and someone had left a crate of lemons on the sidewalk with a sign that simply said, "Take some." It wasn't the scene itself that shook me, it was the assumption behind it. The quiet belief that people could be trusted. In so many American cities, you learn early not to leave anything unprotected. Here, it seemed normal to live with your life and your front yard wide open. As I rolled my suitcase toward my rental, I felt a strange tension inside me. The streets weren't silent, but they carried no edge. People nodded as they passed, offering soft smiles that didn't demand anything in return. It all looked familiar enough, but the rhythm beneath it was undeniably different. Softer, slower, like the city was asking me to unclench in ways I didn't yet know how. It was only my first hour in Australia, but already I could feel something shifting, some small awareness that whatever rules shaped this place were not the ones I had brought with me. Daily life in Australia didn't hit me in one dramatic moment, it seeped in quietly, reshaping the edges of my routine before I realized what was happening. My first coffee run was the start of it. I walked into a small cafe expecting a quick grab and go drip, only to learn that drip coffee might as well be folklore here. The barista smiled, patient and amused, guiding me toward a flat white as if she were teaching me the first word of a new language. The line moved slowly because she chatted with everyone, and no one seemed bothered. People waited as if they had nowhere more important to be. Work life carried that same gentleness. Meetings didn't begin with urgency, they eased in with a minute or two of friendly small talk. And when 5 o'clock arrived, it wasn't a suggestion. The office emptied like someone had flipped a switch. I lingered out of habit, half expecting someone to stay behind, to grind through emails or finish a project late into the night. Instead, a coworker peeked in and asked if I was all right, concerned that I might be overwhelmed. Staying late here wasn't ambition, it was a sign you needed help, but the moment that truly unsettled me happened at a weekend barbecue. I arrived unsure of what to bring, only to find everyone barefoot, laughing, holding plates piled with simple food. No one tried to impress. No one steered the conversation toward work or status. It felt equal, effortless. When I accidentally bumped someone while reaching for a drink and apologized out of instinct, he just grinned and said, "No worries, mate," with a softness that dissolved the tension in my shoulders. That phrase became the pulse of every interaction, and yet, beneath all this warmth, there was a quiet distance I hadn't anticipated. People were friendly instantly, but real closeness grew slowly, over repeated moments rather than sudden ones. I found myself surrounded by smiles, yet sometimes feeling oddly separate, unsure when friendliness would turn into friendship. Still, each day nudged me gently in a new direction. I walked slower. I breathed deeper. I started trusting small spaces again, cafes, parks, trains, without feeling the need to guard myself. Australia wasn't trying to change me. It was simply showing me what life felt like without constant pressure. And for the first time, I wasn't sure which version of myself felt more real. I didn't notice the change happening day by day, only that one evening. Standing on the edge of the South Bank promenade, the city felt different in my chest. The river was moving slowly, catching the last streaks of gold from the sinking sun, and I realized I'd been walking for nearly an hour with my backpack hanging loose behind me, completely unworried. Back in the US, I never let anything out of reach. Every instinct was shaped by vigilance, keys in hand, phone tucked away, scanning shadows without thinking. But here, my body had grown quiet. My shoulders, once permanently raised, had lowered without permission. It was as if Australia had been coaxing me towards softness the whole time, and I hadn't noticed until the tension finally let go. That slow unraveling touched everything. I found myself lingering in conversations instead of rushing off, letting moments stretch instead of filling them with urgency. My coworkers started inviting me out after work, not with the American "we should hang out sometime," but with an easy certainty, a natural extension of the day. And little by little, those interactions formed something sturdier than friendliness. A colleague dropped off homemade banana bread when she heard I'd been sick. Another insisted I join his friends for a weekend hike, promising they'd teach the Yank how not to get lost in the bush. Even the silence between these moments felt different. In America, quiet usually held pressure and expectation to perform, to impress, to keep up. Here, it simply existed, gentle and unthreatening. I began to notice how Australians listened, really listened. Not waiting for their turn to speak, not leaping in to prove something, but letting stories settle in the air before responding. It made me slow down too, made me realize how much of my old rhythm had been shaped by speed rather than intention. The turning point, the moment I knew I was changing, came during a simple Sunday lunch. A friend's family had invited me over, and I expected something formal, structured, maybe even a little stiff. Instead, it felt like stepping into a warm, sunlit bubble. People drifted around barefoot, passing bowls of food, teasing each other with the kind of humor that signals acceptance. No one talked about work. No one asked what I did first. They asked what I enjoyed here, what beaches I'd visited, whether I'd tried pavlova yet. Somewhere between the laughter and the clinking of plates, I felt myself soften again, this time emotionally, not just physically. But transformation isn't simple. Alongside this new ease came a quiet ache I didn't expect. I missed the American tempo, sometimes the spark, the drive, the electric buzz of a country always in a hurry. I missed the kind of friendships that form quickly, where people spill their stories in the first week and build closeness out of speed rather than time. Part of me longed for that intensity. But another part, a growing part, recognized the gift of this slower tide. Here, friendship wasn't a firestorm. It was a slow building warmth that stayed. As weeks became months, I began to see both cultures more clearly. America had taught me ambition, resilience, and motion. Australia taught me balance, humility, and breath. And as I moved through my days, I found myself borrowing pieces from each, planning with American focus, living with Australian ease. I stopped measuring my worth by exhaustion. I let rest be legitimate. I allowed trust to exist in places where suspicion used to live, walking home that evening along the river, with the city lights flickering on one by one. I felt a sense of alignment I'd never experienced before. Not belonging. Exactly, belonging takes time, but a kind of harmony. A sense that I was no longer fighting the rhythm of this place, but learning to move with it. And maybe that's the most surprising part of all. Australia didn't just teach me how to live differently. It showed me the parts of myself I'd been carrying out of habit, not choice. The tension I thought was normal. The speed I never questioned. The guard I wore without noticing. This country gently loosened all of it until I could finally see what life felt like without the constant grip of urgency. Once you feel that difference, quiet, grounding, unexpectedly profound, you don't forget it. You carry it forward into every place you live, into every version of yourself you grow into next.